Oh, my bad.
Seriously? Without even an intro?
Why would we wait?
Jonah.
Intro.
Start.
Johnny and I are talking about Jonah.
And a whale.
And is it a whale or it's a very big fish, right? What do you know about Jonah?
I know that Jonah didn't listen to God and he ran away from him. That's being so mean. And Jonah didn't listen to him, so that's why he got eaten by the whale.
All right, welcome to Pizza Podcast with Christian and Johnny. We are talking about Jonah today.
Jonah.
And as a result, we made a seafood pizza, and by we, I mean I. And this pizza, it looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. It's got a fresh homemade tartar sauce.
You haven't tasted it yet?
No.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Yeah. It's got lobster, fresh lobster tail. It's got giant sea scallops. It's got fresh shrimp. And it has crab.
Giant? Dude,
yes.
This is good.
Yeah, the scallops are pretty expensive. So I didn't get too many of them. It's like $30 a pound for the sea scallops. But it's also got a homemade tartar sauce that I made and lemon butter sauce that I made. Oh, and some additional seasonings and stuff I put on there just for flair. Mm-hmm.
We wait till the end to rate it, but
this is probably the best seafood pizza I've ever had.
This is good.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's exactly what Jonah ate.
And maybe that's why we wait till the end, because I just want to say a 10 right now. So I'll give it some time. I'll wait.
I like where we're headed, though.
I'll wait.
Because this is fantastic.
All right, so
I just want to keep eating.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this sucks because
so
good.
The book of Jonah is only 4 chapters.
And we learned all about it in Sunday school, so I didn't have to reread it or anything. I know it all.
There's a lot that goes on that Sunday school doesn't really get into detail on. And I know that because of my 3 pages of notes and questions that came to mind when I was reading through it. To start off, Jonah was a prophet, what it says, right? Mm-hmm. So depending on the version of the Bible, you have the ESV, I think it says, God told Jonah to get up, go to Nineveh, and proclaim the message that he had for him to the people there.
Because so he's just lying around.
Because Nineveh was so wicked, he said the outcries for that city were so bad he was going to destroy it. Very much like Sodom.
Yeah.
But he didn't send anybody to warn Sodom and Gomorrah. He sent the angels just to go look. So I wonder what the difference was between Sodom and Gomorrah and Nineveh. Because, I mean, what if he sent Abraham and said, Abraham, go to Sodom and tell them, I'm going to destroy you. Do you think they would have...
That's a good question.
You think they would have changed their ways? I don't know.
And I don't know when this takes place exactly. Because I know back in Abraham's day, there's not the law isn't around yet. So they don't have they don't have commandments yet.
It takes place in between Obadiah and Micah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think he's in...
If that helps.
Is it Judges or something? I don't know. So I think it is after the law, at least.
God tells Jonah to go to Nineveh. Jonah immediately...
He probably does what he's like, okay, like all prophets do.
No. He got up and ran away. He went the opposite way. So he went to a town. Then there was a ship that was coming in. He paid to get a ticket and then took that ship. He went to Tarshish, I think it was.
Yeah, Tarshish.
So then he boarded a ship going to Joppa to go in the opposite direction.
Part of me wants to point out, how idiotic is it? Where it's like, God's saying, do this, and you do not that, you do actually even the opposite. Basically.
Run away from it.
Yeah.
Even.
But then I'm like, well, don't we kind of do that anyways? We know what to do sometimes, and we know right and wrong, and we don't do that. We also do the opposite sometimes.
That's true, but...
I actually have a funny story. I was
just going to say, if God told you directly...
So Yeah, I would think like, oh, I should do this.
Yeah. Because sometimes you get a
know
thought or
what's
a
wrong with this
feeling and
guy.
you're like, I don't know if that's God or if I'm just crazy, so I'm just going to... I'm going to go about my own business, and then if it's really that important, it'll come back up.
So, God,
What's your story? What do you got?
I don't know how. I want to say like 20, early 20s.
Make it long so that I can keep eating.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know. I'll do my best, but I'll just tell it. I was talking to this girl. Maybe shouldn't have been talking to. She wasn't bad, but we were going through some stuff. We weren't doing the best, and she wanted me to come over, and I'm on the way, and I'm praying like, God, I don't need to go. Just please, like, let her change her mind. Let her, like, stop me from going. Help me stop. I could just stop and, like, it doesn't make any sense. And then she texts.
Jonah.
She texts and says, actually, I think it's probably a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't. And then I said, what the heck, God? And I was bummed out. I was like, dude, why? What the heck?
That's pretty awesome.
It's so
And then you're upset?
I was so bummed. I
Why?
was like, bro. Yeah.
Sometimes God gives you what you ask for, even
guess
even
so.
if you shouldn't get it or not.
Yeah. So it's a bit of an embarrassing story, but it's pretty funny.
I like it.
Yeah.
It helped me.
You got a couple bites in.
I did. I got a couple bites. I'm really happy about that. Pizza
Was it
is
the
so
longest?
good.
I'm not the best storyteller.
No, I thought you did a good job there, buddy. It was captivating. Yes, Jonah goes the opposite. He boards a ship. While he's on the ship, it says the Lord sent a great wind on the sea, and such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. That's the way the NIV words it. Mm-hmm. Then it says all the sailors were afraid, and each one cried out to their God. Mm-hmm. So whatever God each one had, they were crying out for help, and nothing worked.
They throw their stuff overboard.
Then they threw the cargo overboard to lighten the ship. And it says Jonah went below deck and fell asleep.
Mm.
What is that about? That's
Yeah,
just
that's
like,
wild.
remember Jesus when he was on the water?
And then and
With
the
the
captain's
disciples?
also like, get up.
Yeah. But like,
I think he's just lazy.
laziness could be a big part of it because Jesus told him to get up, like both times. And we'll get to the second time too. But he was
And
like,
the captain's saying, get up.
yeah. So maybe he was narcoleptic.
I don't know what that means.
It means like you can't stay awake.
Oh.
It's the people that like fall asleep like in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think he's lazy.
but he went below deck. But these guys are throwing cargo overboard because the ship is being
And
tossed so much.
He's just sleeping.
How do you sleep so hard?
Or he just doesn't care.
Like he wasn't even scared.
Yeah, I think there's some of the stuff later. I don't remember exactly. Maybe we'll get to it. I was like, maybe this guy's actually just depressed, and he just doesn't care.
Was he a former sailor? Was he used to rough seas?
I have no idea.
Did he have a death wish and he was just kind of like, it's cool with me, I'm gonna go to sleep?
Yeah, I have no idea. Read a little footnote about how it mentions he's told to get up, and he goes down a place, and he goes down in the ship, and it's like he's doing literally the opposite of what he's been asked to do. Like it's just like emphasizing that.
Yeah. I don't know if he was drunk.
I think he's just lazy
How do you sleep during a storm like that if you're not Jesus?
and depressed.
So, anyway, the sailors, they wake him up. And they were like, hey, pray to your God. And then maybe, we'll get out of this. Then in verse 7, it says the sailors cast lots to find out who was responsible for their calamity. And
I
the
thought Lot was in Sodom.
And a different lot. They cast lot. And believe it or not, it fell on Jonah. Mm-hmm. So how accurate was it when they cast lots back then? Because I Googled what that means, and I'm going to read it. It says, and this is from a Google search. In the Bible, casting lots or drawing lots refers to a method of random selection used to make decisions or determine outcomes, often believed to be a way of discerning God's will. It's like modern practices of drawing names from a hat or flipping a coin.
Or like the shortest straw.
but with the added belief that God is guiding the outcome.
But if they're the one doing it, what God are they believing to do it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. That's why. What if it landed on somebody
it's a little
else?
trippy.
And then they just threw an innocent guy overboard.
Yeah.
It's kind of strange. And if the ship is being tossed around so hard,
We gotta cast
how are they? Imagine them trying to flip a coin on a ship
Yeah.
that's being tossed around in a storm so bad it's about to break. They're like chasing the coin around the deck. I don't know. It's pretty wild.
So it's after they cast lots where Jonah says the reason?
Yeah,
He's like, it's
yeah.
me.
So after they cast the lots, they go to Jonah and they ask him what his occupation is. What country is he from? What people is he from? It depends on the Bible that you read. ESV says occupation. NIV says, what do you do?
Same thing, kind of.
What occupation would he have to cause God to throw him in the middle of a storm like that? I was trying to think of a job. Why would they ask him that? What would it matter what their job is? Like, what kind of a job? Maybe like an executioner?
Is an executioner bad?
The
He's just
chief
doing his
baker for the
job?
king?
I don't know.
I just found that to be weird.
It is weird.
Like, what's your occupation?
We're just like, who? Yeah, they're just like, they want all the details, is what it seemed like. Like,
Yeah,
why
why would it
if
care
you're
what he
the
does?
reason, what is the reason?
They could have just said, hey, what'd you do wrong?
Maybe.
Why would they go, hey, what
Or maybe
what do
thought
you
he
do
was
for
like,
work?
maybe thought he was like, what other gods they have? Like, he could have been like a sorcerer. And like, what, are you causing this? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
You're the king's
I
magician?
didn't really think about
A
it.
wizard?
Yeah, I don't know.
And when the brothers threw them off, that and the storm stopped. That was like magic.
He goes and tells them.
And like
Where he's
me,
from.
he knows he's doing bad and he should just go overboard. But for some reason, he doesn't do it himself.
Well, he answers, I'm a Hebrew and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the land. It says, this terrified them, and they asked, what have you done? They knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them.
Why are they so terrified?
I don't know.
Like, they have their other gods, but they're so
Well, they're-
terrified of this one.
Their other gods did nothing when they cried out to them. So that's
Yeah.
why they were probably like, oh, this one's actually, if your God is the God of the sea and the land, then that's pretty scary because he's doing this to us.
So Jonas says he worships him, which I'm like, do you actually?
Yeah,
He doesn't say, I'm doing something bad. He just says, oh.
he told them that he was running away from the Lord. That's pretty bad.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea
In
and the
verse
dry
10.
land.
Next verse.
Then the men who were exceedingly afraid and said to him, what is this that you have done? He hadn't said anything yet.
And then it says,
Yeah, but
they knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them.
Oh.
And then it says, the sea was getting rougher and rougher, so they asked him, what should we do to you to make the sea calm down for us? And then he says, pick me up and throw me into the sea,
Yeah.
and it will become calm. I know that it is my fault that this great storm has come upon you. Why wouldn't he just jump overboard on his own?
Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know exactly where they are. Does he think he'll die? Is he just like, throw me overboard, I'm going to die, but... Because they're afraid they're going to kill him. So
He's
maybe...
obviously far enough away from land to where he's going to die. Because,
I won't say...
yes, because as you keep reading, Jonah describes the waves crashing over his head and him sinking and seaweed wrapping around his head, and he was going down to the depths, and then God saved him. So either he was not a swimmer, he couldn't swim, or
But the fact
they were
remains...
far enough away.
Yeah, the fact remains, like, he knows he needs to go overboard, but he's not doing it. He's like, you guys got to do it.
Why wouldn't he just tell them, turn back around and go back?
Take me to Nineveh.
Yeah. He could have done that too. Like, that probably would have been my first option. Like, all right, take me to Nineveh or turn back around and
Do you think he's trying to die and just
I think
escape
he is.
it?
I think he's
He's
got
like,
a death
let me-
wish because it doesn't take much for him to want to die.
It really doesn't. But he's just like, you know what? I can't escape this. Just take me out, and I can escape it.
I think so, but he doesn't want to kill himself, so he won't jump overboard himself. But he had other options. Turn the ship and sail toward Nineveh.
But then he has to go. He doesn't want to go to Nineveh.
Take me back home.
So just keep something
Take
else.
me back
will
home, I'll
happen.
get off the ship and we'll be all right.
They'll be all right, but they're not him.
Unless the ship would have broken before they got back home.
Maybe.
But-
No, he's probably thinking like, oh, even if I'm on land, there's going to be earthquakes or freaking fire and sulfur. I don't know.
The fact that he wouldn't jump in himself, though,
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So instead, they didn't want to do it. So they tried everything they possibly could to row back to shore. It says, instead the men did their best to row back to land, but they couldn't because the sea grew even wilder than before. Then it says, then they cried to the Lord, capital L. So now they're crying out to Jonah's God.
Mm-hmm.
Please do not let us die for taking this man's life. Don't hold us accountable for killing him. For we have done as you pleased. And then they took Jonah and they threw him overboard.
Mm-hmm.
And the sea grew calm. At this, the men greatly feared the Lord and offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. So, through Jonah's...
What did they sacrifice? Sorry.
I don't know.
What did they sacrifice? If they threw everything overboard.
I was wondering that myself. Maybe one of the other sailors?
Hope not.
They maybe cast lots to figure out which one they were gonna... Or maybe they considered Jonah the sacrifice. See ya. But Jonah's situation caused all of those guys to be converted
Yeah.
and saved.
Yeah.
Because they all had their own individual gods, and now they realized Jonah's God was the real one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had that question too. What kind of sacrifice did they make?
I didn't have that question, just popped in my head.
I mean, you think they had any animals on board or anything?
Maybe.
There's a lot of different sacrifices, though, that you can do. Doesn't have to be like an animal or a human. I mean, you could sacrifice financial sacrifice or your time or...
Not in this day and age, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know of any.
I don't know. That's a question for Tim.
Mm-hmm. Like incense?
So once he was thrown overboard, it says the Lord provided a large fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was inside the fish 3 days and 3 nights. I have a ton of questions on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Question 1.
Fish? Question mark?
What kind of fish do you think it was? Everyone associates it with a whale because whales are...
I do think it was a whale, though.
Everyone thinks it's a whale.
Yeah.
Because what other fish would swallow him whole without chewing him up?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a shark.
That's the only fish.
Anything bigger than a
Possible,
shark is a whale.
Yeah.
Unless it was not the behemoth. What's the...
Leviathan?
Yes. Unless it was Leviathan.
You know what? I like that. I like that a lot. No, I think it was a whale. Might surprise you. Because I like to look at words and take them how they kind of are. But I do leave room for, I think, like humanity, like writing this back in the day. What are they going to say? Oh, that was a mammal that breathes underwater. They probably thought all whales were fish, and I don't know.
Everyone thinks it's a whale. It's quite possible because whales are still terrifying.
Yeah.
So do you think the fish picked Jonah off the surface, or do you think like he was sinking and just about to drown and the fish just swallowed him as he was sinking?
Doesn't it mention seaweeds and stuff?
It does.
So it was probably sinking. And that's why he mentioned it.
It says, in my distress I called to the Lord and he answered me. From the depths of the grave I called for help and you listened. You hurled me into the deep, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. All your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. but you brought my life up from the pit, O Lord my God.
You think he died?
You think he was unconscious in the fish?
Dead. I think probably dead.
Interesting.
Like maybe it could be metaphorical, the grave, but I think he's dead.
So
3
he
days
drowned?
and 3 nights underwater.
That's why I have a lot of questions.
He's dead, bro. He died.
Not underwater. If he's in the belly of a fish, there's air pockets. I assume.
Is there?
Yeah, because a
can't
fish.
be.
Yes, because a fish isn't going to be completely filled with water, or it wouldn't be buoyant. If they were completely filled with water, they would just sink. There's got to be air in there.
I know fish gills filter water, and I know whales have to go up and they breathe air.
Yeah, well, that air that they breathe out is inside them.
Air that you breathe out there's no oxygen,
I don't know.
or at least not a lot of oxygen. There's probably some.
I don't know.
I don't.
But that's an interesting concept of maybe
I think he's dead.
maybe he died,
Because
and then 3 days later, just like Easter,
yes, because
Jesus gave him life again.
Because Jesus references Jonah.
When?
Back when, what was it, like 30 AD or something like that? Yeah, he, I'll find it. It's before, obviously before he dies. He's telling someone, he's like, you want signs? Maybe he says, I'll give you the sign of Jonah. Like, he's basically saying he's going to leave in 3 days. He's going to be dead for 3 days.
When I Googled Jonah, it references like 4 different places in the Bible where Jonah is referred to. And like I know one of them was somewhere in Matthew.
That's probably what
I
I'm
think
talking
somewhere
about.
in Luke.
That's the same
And I was going to
thing.
look them up, and I didn't have time today.
Yeah, I'll read it. Matthew and Luke, at least, I'm pretty sure they say the same thing, at least close enough.
Yeah, which one is it?
Matthew and Luke.
No. Verse. What verse?
Matthew 12:38. Some of the scribes and Pharisees answered him, saying, Teacher, we wish to see a sign from you. But he answered them, An evil and adulterous generation seeks for a sign, but no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth.
Do you think he was talking about just the time, or the fact that he was dead too?
Yeah, I think Jonah died.
I think he would have been better off dead than having to be alive in the fish for 3 days.
So I think
So he got his wish then, because Jonah wanted to die.
He did die. I think he died. Yeah. Out of the belly of Sheol, I cried. I think he died. I think he was in the grave wherever he is, and then he prays to God.
Maybe that's why he wants to die so quickly. Maybe he was like in heaven, and then he comes back to earth and he's like, "Oh, just kill me! Oh, just kill me!"
So yeah, I think he's in Sheol. I think he died. I think he's praying wherever he is in this dead place. So in Psalm 139, verse 7 and 8, it says, Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, which is the grave, you are there. It's like you can't. So Jonah's trying to escape God. It doesn't matter. He kills himself or has someone kill himself. He can't escape God.
But it says he prayed in while he was in the fish.
The belly
How
of
can
Sheol.
he pray if he's dead?
In Sheol, in the grave.
Was the fish's name Sheol?
No, he's dead in the grave. I keep saying Sheol, but the grave. I think he's dead. I think he's praying after he died.
How do you pray after you die?
I've never died, so I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I can see the plausibility.
Raised my life from the pit, it mentions also.
I mean, it could have just been he's sinking in the water and he knows he's going to die, and then all of a sudden
It's like metaphorical.
the fish comes. Like
Nom,
Pac-Man,
nom, nom, nom.
snacks him up.
I think he died.
Interesting. Do you think the sailors on the ship saw Jonah get eaten?
No.
Like, how trippy would that have been?
That'd be wild. I don't think so.
They throw him overboard, and then like he's still at the surface, and the fish is just like. They'd be like, "Okay, God, we're sorry. Here, sacrifice. Sorry, we promise. That would be nuts. Could you imagine that?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, maybe he'll live. Probably not now.
So yeah, it's like,
So you don't think they saw him get eaten?
no.
Be cool if they did.
But yeah, I just think it's funny. I think he died, and I think God's like, dude, I told you to do something. You're not off the hook. Go freaking do it.
Wake up again.
I
Get
think,
up.
and then he says, get up
Maybe
again.
that's why he says get
yeah,
up.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking something else, but I'll get to that once we get to that part. But I have some more questions because I didn't assume he was dead. So let's assume he's alive. Because it's a lot crazier to think he's alive having to deal with this.
That's a lot crazier than being resurrected.
Yes. Bro, I would much rather be
It's
resurrected.
all insane.
How bad must it have been inside the fish, though, if you were alive?
That would suck.
What did he eat? What would Jonah eat? He was in there for 3 days. He'd have to eat.
I think he ate the fish spit.
He ate the fish spit? That sounds pretty gross.
Like, for 3 days and 3 nights, what would you eat?
I wouldn't. I'd just be throwing up the whole time.
You'd have to eat.
What would it smell like? What would,
It would smell
whatever
like
you ate,
low tide, bro.
whatever you ate, what would it taste like? I'd be throwing up the whole time.
Seafood.
I'm not hungry anymore.
He'd be eating like what we're eating: shrimp, lobster, scallops.
Plankton, just a ton of plankton.
What are those? Are those the little fish?
Super small, yeah.
Yeah.
Like whales just go. It's
Like, just a whole school.
like a million
like,
or something.
Like a bunch of mosquitoes in his face. He's probably in there. And he's like, stop eating. How do you think he slept? That's the other thing. Is like, how much room is in the fish? Is the water level like right up to your nose, and you have
There's
to?
like a baby in the womb. He's like super crammed.
Yeah, or do you have?
Really move
Is there
the butt.
so much water you have to keep your head up and just your nose out of the water just to breathe? Or is it just kind of dry, and you're just sitting on the tongue or in the stomach, and
there's like
you have
a
space to
cruise.
move around?
Like you're on a boat, like you feel movement, but it's like you're okay.
But I mean, it's going to be pitch black.
Yeah.
There's no windows in this fish.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine how dark. You have no idea what's going on, where you are. Well, I mean, you know where you are, but you don't know where, like, anatomically you are. How do you sleep?
Does he know where he is?
If he's dead, no. But if he's alive,
He's alive. Do you know?
if he's alive, I'm pretty sure you would know if you got eaten by a fish.
Would you?
How would you not?
If you're so far underwater, you're tangled in seaweed. It's gonna be dark underwater too. And then you don't know.
You would know. What else could happen?
What about going potty?
I think he peed in the whale's mouth.
I think so too, because 3 days, you can't go 3 days without going potty.
What happens if you don't go potty? You die.
But how would you go to the bathroom?
You just go.
And then you're
And
just
throw up
then you're
some
just then you're just sitting in it for 3 days and 3 nights.
Yeah.
Unless the digestive system of the fish takes it away.
And you just like fight. Like, don't take me away too. I'm trying to die.
Yeah, because like the digestive system would want to pull you in, right? Wouldn't there be stomach acid or something in a whale or a large fish?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have the same kind of digestive process that humans do? Science stuff again. I'm curious because the stomach acid.
It's got to be bile. Yeah.
You think his skin was burning?
Maybe. There was a
I
thing.
mean, he'd be churning around too. It wouldn't be like a smooth. The water would be sloshing. The fish is moving.
See-
Other animals are moving around.
I'll see if I can do a quick search. There was one thing I learned, or I was taught in a lesson where they did studies or whatever, like what would Jonah look like after he's out of the fish? And it was like he potentially could have been like discolored and stuff from the acids and all that stuff.
Yeah, or from being dead. It's just so hard to imagine that situation. It's 3 days and 3 nights. I wouldn't even want to be 3 days and 3 nights.
Some scholars have also suggested that Jonah's skin may have been bleached white by the whale's digestive acids, which would have added to his credibility when he preached to the people of Nineveh. Oh, so he does finally preach to Nineveh?
Spoiler alert. Thanks, Google.
So that's interesting.
So if he was in the fish 3 days and 3 nights, was he just that far away from Nineveh? Or do you think the fish took like a couple of laps and just kind of went about his business, and then God's like, all right, go ahead. And you think the fish circled the block?
Something like that, yeah. I think it had to be that time period.
Because of the significance of the resurrection? Man, that's deep. They don't cover this in Sunday school.
Do they not? They might.
No,
They might not.
it's Jonah got eaten by a fish.
What do they tell kids? Oh, yeah, Jonah was a prophet. He didn't listen to God. The end.
Well, Jonah was a prophet, but
He's only a prophet because
this
he's
is
told.
this is the only documented thing that he did. So was he really a prophet?
This is why he's a prophet.
How many times do you have to prophesy in order to be a prophet?
I guess there's once.
I disagree. I think he would have to do it more than once.
Well, I think this is his only prophecy.
If you cook one meal, are you a chef? Mm-mm. No, you just cooked a meal.
You're a cook for a day.
You're a cook, yeah.
Yeah.
If you build a table in one day, or you build one table,
Is it a good table?
Are you a carpenter? Does that make you a carpenter?
Is it a good table?
No, it just means you built a table.
If it was a good table,
I don't know how
would
he's
say.
called a prophet when he only did one thing and he did it poorly. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think that is, yeah. I think this is his only prophet duties.
Do you think... This is pretty funny. Do you think Jonah ever went near the ocean again after this?
I don't think so. I don't think he liked long
If you
walks
were-
on the beach.
If you spent 3 days in a fish, I know me personally, I would never go anywhere near the ocean again.
I don't think he's really near the ocean that much to begin with. I don't think I think he seems like the guy who doesn't enjoy the beach, doesn't enjoy the ocean.
He wasn't a beachgoer?
It doesn't seem like it.
Based on what?
Based on, I guess, the end of it too, but it just doesn't seem like he's a joyful guy. It doesn't seem like he has fun. But this is a very short story, but this one.
Well, let's see how it progresses.
And then what happened to him?
Jonah prayed, and then the whale spit Jonah out and he landed on the floor, and then he went to Nineveh like God told him to.
Wow.
The Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land.
That's gross.
Yeah. So did the fish beach itself to let him out? In which case it probably would have died because now it's stuck on land. Or did it projectile vomit him like a carny out of a cannon in the circus? I like to picture that better because it's more fun.
It is fun.
And it explains why God told Jonah to get up again.
I mean, if you're vomited out, you're not going to be...
He's like...
You're not going to land on your feet.
Jonah's just, his body is just... And
It's like drags in the sand.
He's just laying in the sand.
It's like...
And then God's like, Jonah, get up. I can't, God, I can't. I broke my leg. I can't feel my leg. What do you think? And you think he got projectile vomit? Because it says he was on dry land.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not like in the surf or on the shoreline.
Yeah, it's like a sandy beach or
Like
dirt.
dry. Like
Yeah.
completely out of the water. The only way the fish could get him there would be either to take himself out of the water or projectile vomit him, which I think is possible,
For sure.
especially if God commanded it. It could be a God level vomit, which is pretty significant. What do you think?
I think it was beached.
You think the fish beached itself?
But it still went back.
Do you think Jonah helped it back in the water? No?
The guy's too lazy.
Gosh, you really don't think that much of Jonah. He's
I really don't.
He's so lazy, he literally has to be carried to his destination.
Kind of, yeah. Well, no, we didn't get. He still has to go to Nineveh himself.
Well, yeah. But in chapter 3, after Jonah is vomited up on the beach, it says, "Then the Lord told Jonah a second time, 'Get up, go to Nineveh, and proclaim the message I give to you.' Then Jonah goes, 'Okay.'"
I guess got to.
I like how it took all of that for Jonah to get the hint. So it's just interesting to see that Jonah didn't argue at all after that. And I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't blame him. At least he was smart enough to get the hint, but it took all of that to get through to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So he's like, "Yes, sir. On my way right away, sir."
I think he still probably did it reluctantly.
No.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, fine.
You think he was Lot?
All right, fine."
No.
I think so. That just seems like this character.
He is a knucklehead. So he ends up going to Nineveh. The Bible describes Nineveh as a city so large that it takes 3 days to travel through it. I was curious about the actual size, and I looked it up. According to Google, which is all we have to go on nowadays, it says Nineveh was 1,850 acres with a 7.5 mile fortification wall. 7.5 miles would only take like a day, less than a day.
I don't know.
So, well, that's the fortification wall.
So like outer Nineveh? I don't know.
Oh, it doesn't make any sense because outer Nineveh would still have to be the length of inner Nineveh.
3 days journey in breadth.
In breadth, yeah.
Or visit was a 3 days journey.
Yeah. 1,850 acres. I mean, that's a lot of land.
Yeah.
I can see that. Like, when you talk about the acreage, but then they throw this fortification wall, unless they only had one side. Not a very great design.
I don't know where they're getting the fortification wall from.
I don't know. But 1,850 acres is pretty significant.
Sounds big. I
And,
don't know how big.
I don't have time to do the math.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. So then...
How many acres?
1,850.
So it's 1,850 more acres than I have. Like multiply.
So you have 0 acres?
No,
Okay.
one. When you multiply it on 1 acre.
Oh.
It's that many times. Yeah. I said it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, so picture your yard 1,850 times.
It's gonna take a,
How long
it's
does
gonna
it take
a
you to
while.
walk through your yard?
A minute?
A minute?
Maybe.
Well, what's 1,850 minutes?
So if I do a minute an acre,
30 hours.
1,100. I was just gonna say
It's 30 hours. That's only a day and a half. If I'm doing quick math right.
I don't know.
But
But that's nonstop walking. And this guy is a bozo. He's probably
he's a bozo.
guys. I'm here to tell you about.
That's one of my other questions when we get there. So here's a fun fact about Nineveh that came up also with the same Google search. Excavations revealed a central city hub with public squares, parks, botanical gardens, and a zoo.
Public squares.
Nineveh had a zoo, bro.
At what time? Like one of these.
At that time. At a time. Before it got buried and had to be excavated. It could have just been animal. It could have just been the
like
biblical
couple
animals.
dogs.
Yeah.
Could have been a dog or two.
They were just horses and camels, and they were just like, oh, animal parts. There was a zoo here. But I thought that was interesting. A central city hub with public squares,
Botanical garden.
parks. Are they talking like playgrounds?
Just trees.
Or is like skate parks?
Like walking around.
You think they had skate parks?
The wheels. Did they have the wheel? Yeah, the wheels.
They
been
had the
invented.
wheel,
Yeah,
of course.
They got a freaking boat. Of course they have.
They
a
have
wheel.
wagons and stuff. I think they
Yeah.
have wagons.
Yeah.
Do they have wagons?
Yeah. So they got some kind of skateboard, for sure.
They definitely have some board parks there. Botanical gardens. What kind of flowers can you have in the desert? Bunch of
I
cactus.
don't know if these are all full on desert plate. Like, there's got to be.
This
some...
is Nineveh. This is strictly Nineveh. Excavations of the city of Nineveh revealed a central city hub with public
Is
squares,
Nineveh a desert?
parks,
100%?
botanical gardens, and a zoo. I don't know. I just picture everything in the Bible in a
That's the
desert.
desert. I don't necessarily picture everything as a desert.
What else was there?
City. You're not gonna live in a desert and just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna live in the desert this whole time. If you're making cities.
There's cities in the desert.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's got to be more than just a desert.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's a couple of trees. I mean, there's a botanical garden, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So on the first day, Jonah started into the city proclaiming that God was going to destroy them in 40 days. That was the message God gave him to deliver.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy your
So
city
how long
in
did it
40
take him
days.
to get to Nineveh? Like, did he just go? He went right then, and did he ever like stop?
I kind of picture the fish throwing him up on shore, like right in front of Nineveh.
Go to Nineveh. He's like, it is right there. I guess I can walk that far.
I'm kind of thirsty. I might.
Yeah.
Let me just stop in for a drink.
Because I picture him with, he's got freaking fish bile and crud all over him while he's like, hey guys.
Oh, he would smell so bad.
Yeah.
He would smell like death.
Yeah. He probably had like long hair back then too, and the beard. Just full of
Do you
gunk.
do you think that's why people believed him?
Yeah, like dude,
'Cause
this
he
guy
just looked
is
like The Walking
terrifying.
Dead?
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, whatever.
This guy has to be from God because he's dead. He's
Yeah.
literally walking dead. So on the first day, Jonah started into the city proclaiming that God would destroy Nineveh in 40 days. It says, and the Ninevites believed God. Not
and he's not even saying. He's just like, hey, you're gonna get overthrown.
yeah.
Is he not? Is he saying more that we just don't know?
Do you think he was saying it in a condescending way because he hated them so much for
Yeah.
some reason? Like, haha, God's going to destroy you in 40 days.
No. In like a mad way.
You think he was...
God's gonna destroy you?
You don't think it was like a genuine concern for them? Like, please repent.
No.
God's going to destroy you in 40 days. I don't think so either.
No. He's like, guys, you're gonna get destroyed.
I think he's like,
You're getting destroyed. You're getting destroyed.
you're getting destroyed.
Yeah.
He's just facing people.
Yeah.
You're getting destroyed.
Yeah. You're gonna be demolished, and I'm gonna love to see it.
Oh.
You too. And your kids.
Oh, I look funny and I smell? Well, you're getting destroyed.
Pretty much.
But he only got 1 day into this 3-day journey through the city.
Yeah.
And it says the Ninevites believed God, which I thought was interesting because it doesn't say they believed Jonah, what Jonah was saying. It says they believed God.
Yeah.
Then,
That God would do it. And then they just hope that
but then
it won't happen.
it says the king heard what Jonah was saying
Yeah.
and got up from his throne, took off his robes, put on sackcloth, and laid in ashes, and then sent a proclamation or declaration or whatever, a decree, that's the word, to the city saying no person or animal is going to eat or drink or taste anything.
Those poor animals.
You
man.
guys are going to put on sackcloth and repent and turn away from the violence.
Yeah.
And they did.
Why those poor animals?
I don't know.
Are they also committing wickedness? What's up with those?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't either.
But then it says, when God saw them turn from their wicked ways, he had compassion and did not bring about the destruction that he had planned. So I like how when the king heard what Jonah said, he just shut everything down like
Yeah.
immediately
Yeah.
and like asked for forgiveness and told
Yeah.
the whole city to repent.
It's like true repentance right there when you just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if our government today did that.
Repented? Or just shut down everything?
Both.
That'd be
Just shut everything down and repented in prayer.
Everybody is
for
actually doing it?
forgiveness. Everybody in government. Doesn't matter what political
just
party.
government.
Well, this is the king. So
Yeah.
the king and all of his leaders and everybody in that entire city, all of the leadership and the governing entities
Interesting.
shut it down, asked for forgiveness, humbled themselves, and then had all of the people, by a royal decree, do the same thing.
I don't think it would fly here.
You don't think it would fly?
No, we just have a different government,
Are you saying because
which I love. But
are you saying it's because our government wouldn't do it?
no, I'm saying the people wouldn't, because like we the people, like it's supposed to be.
Oh, you think the people wouldn't do what the government tells them like they do now?
Yeah. So I'd be like, okay, why are you guys doing that? Separation between church and state. I can't believe you. And then storm the Capitol again. So, yeah. That's just what I think.
So it wouldn't be because of the government; it would be because of the hard-headed
The
people.
people. Yeah.
Which, in their defense, I mean,
Hey, these are my God-given rights.
There's-
Why would you tell me to repent to God?
it's my God-given
My
right not to
God-given right.
repent, not to repent to God if I don't want to.
Oh, that's so funny. I have
It's just
so-
it's an interesting concept.
I make a lot of jokes about God-given rights stuff. I think it's so funny. There's a lot of like American Christianity stuff I like to joke about.
No, because it's funny.
It's so funny.
How long do you think everybody went without eating or drinking before God relented?
Hopefully not long. Those freaking animals, man. It doesn't say. They have at least the 40 days. And okay, so we also were we mentioned
There's
like
no way they went 40 days.
no.
The
I
whole
mean,
city would be dead.
Yeah.
Then God's like, you know what?
I'll save the city.
I'm not going to destroy you. Because
All those buildings and houses, yeah, I like them now. They're good. No, I was actually thinking we likened it a little bit to Sodom. And it's like, oh, could Sodom have actually repented? Like he's
That's
like,
what I was saying.
like that would be interesting.
But
and
God
then-
never sent anybody there to give him that option.
He maybe would have, but since they were like, they all rallied up for those freaking super hot guys, angels, whatever. Kind of changed everything.
So maybe God knew that there was just no
Right.
chance for them.
Yeah, no chance.
But if he knew there was a chance for Nineveh, well,
Is Nineveh? How do I put this? So part of me wants to make jokes, but I also want to be real about it too. About
Do both.
I tried to.
make a real joke.
Okay. No, so Sodom, they're gay. Nineveh, like, oh, are these, what is going on here? And then I bring it to the real world for people that are gay or doing anything wrong for that matter. Like we could be like Jonah and be like, I don't like those guys. I don't like those gays. I don't like those whatever. But there's still hope for everyone, right? And
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're saying that God should have given Sodom a chance to turn from their ways
I think he was.
because there's hope.
I think he was probably going to, or maybe he could have. But it's also a different time before the law, so maybe just different rules without rules. I don't know how it works.
So after God he changes his mind. He spares the city.
And the animals wear sackcloth, right?
Yeah, they put sackcloth
What?
on the animals
I
too.
don't get this animal thing.
Every living thing.
I don't get it.
If you live, you worship God.
How do you worship God if you're an animal and you don't know what you're doing?
You become a sacrifice. I don't know, man.
It's weird. Those poor animals, dude.
Maybe they just didn't want to be jealous of them. Like, why are the animals eating and we're not?
Yeah.
No, nothing is going to eat. Maybe it was
Yeah,
just easier to do it across the board like that.
Yeah. But it's so interesting that, I think it's interesting. Jonah is like, you're going to get demolished. And they're like, we've got to change. Maybe we won't get demolished. Like, where do they get that idea from?
What option do they have?
Leave. We got 40 days. All right, I'm out of here.
That's a good point.
I don't. I really want to stay here, which I get. You want to stay where you are a lot of the time.
You think some people did leave, and then they found out God spared them, and they're like, "Oh,
We'll go back.
we're gonna move back."
Yeah, perhaps maybe. Seems
That's an interesting concept.
possible.
I like that.
So
God spares the city. Then in chapter 4, the last chapter of Jonah.
So this is where we get the book from. It's because it's about Jonah, and so he finally writes it down, and he's happy that his prophecy works. He's like, cool, they repented.
No.
Good on me.
No.
Good on the Lord. Thank God. But he's a prophet.
None of that.
None of that.
Nineveh. None of that.
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, how can you turn that into?
Oh, I
something?
can turn it in there.
None of that.
None of it.
None of it. That. None of that.
None of that.
Yeah.
None of Jonah. Instead, chapter 4 is all about how Jonah is. It says he's angry, but like. Chapter 4 is all about how Jonah was not happy that his mission was accomplished and God saved the city, but in fact, the exact opposite.
Wow.
Chapter 4, verse 1. But Jonah was greatly displeased and became angry. In that section, Jonah explains to God that he was angry because he knew the Lord would forgive them if he gave them the chance to repent, because God is a just and compassionate God. So that was the
He
whole...
just hated these guys.
He really did. And that was the whole reason he ran away to begin with.
Hmm.
His reasoning for running away, which he tells God in chapter 4, was that he knew God was compassionate and would forgive them if he gave them the opportunity.
Yeah.
So there's something that happened. Maybe he had a bad breakup with a girl in Nineveh or something.
I think it kind of goes to the similar point I was making. He just doesn't like them and what they're doing. Like how a lot of times we pick and choose what we do and don't like.
Yeah, but he was from a different country. What's Nineveh have to do with him? Who cares?
People traveled all the time, all over the place.
You think he traveled to Nineveh?
And like so in in the U.S., there's different states that's probably very similar to the different country next door.
You have anything against one of the states near us?
I don't have anything, no. I don't have anything to
What do you
do
have
with it.
against North Carolina?
But there's
Oh, I hate North Carolina.
but there's people that do hate, like, oh, California's on fire because. But then now we were on fire. I was thinking about that. I was like, what do you think about us now? Oh, California, they're on fire because they're doing bad.
The Bible Belt's on fire.
Maybe we're just like Jonah in this regard.
Yeah, so he was angry. So much to the fact.
Red Bull hit me in the eye.
Extreme. So he was so angry that God spared Nineveh. He told God he would rather die
And he did.
than live.
I think he did die. He
Again.
tried to die.
So
He said he would rather die again? Or he was just saying, I wish
well,
I
if
would
he,
have died.
if he died in the fish, then he would want to die again.
Yeah, please take my life from me, for it is
Yeah,
better for me
yeah.
to die
That's what I'm saying,
than
dude.
to live.
So chapter 4, it says, But Jonah was greatly displeased and became angry. He prayed to the Lord, O Lord, this is not what I said when I was still at home. That is why I was so quick to flee to Tarshish. I knew that you were a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love, a God who relents from sending calamity. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live.
It's extreme. That's emo right there.
Do you know how much hatred you have to have?
That's emo.
It's
It's freaking emotional.
It's definitely emotional. Can you imagine, like, even an individual person, like, if you knew a person was bad and you didn't like them and they repented
I would rather die.
and then God forgave them, would you say, I would rather die than watch them be forgiven? Like, that,
No.
I can't even wrap my head around that level of hatred.
It's a bit extreme.
But he's telling God, like, "Oh Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live." Bro, go back home. Like, go back to sleep.
Yeah.
This is why Jonah he's a turd, because
It really is.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense, and there's no context to where his hatred of Nineveh comes from.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why God sent Jonah to begin with? Because he knew Jonah had some sort of inner hatred for Nineveh, so he was just like, "Oh yeah, you hate him, huh?
Yeah.
Go tell him this
Definitely.
message, and then watch me forgive him.
Definitely part of it.
And then we're gonna work on you, Jonah."
Yeah.
So you think this whole story wasn't even about Nineveh? It was about Jonah?
No, it's about Nineveh. It's about everything. There's a whole full story.
You think everybody?
Nineveh's a part of it. Nineveh's a part of it. Everything's just a small part of
Yeah,
it.
but Jonah, I think God had a special love for Jonah for some reason. And the reason I think that is because he takes the time to listen to Jonah's thoughts and have him explain why he's angry. And then takes even more time to explain why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Like he's genuinely concerned about Jonah. Like,
I think he's genuinely concerned about everyone.
but he doesn't have to explain himself at all to Jonah.
Yeah.
But he takes the time to do that. And I think,
But it's also for us.
yeah, but I think because it's written down.
It's for us. That's why I'm saying Nineveh is a small part. Jonah is a small part.
Yeah, but this is just a documentation of what happened. The fact that God took the time and was concerned enough to actually have that conversation with Jonah. Listen, why are you angry? Like, God asked him, like, why are you so angry? And then explain to him why he did what he did.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting.
Yeah.
So Jonah was very, very mad. After that, after he tells God to take his life, it says, "But the Lord replied, 'Have you any right to be angry?' Then Jonah went out and sat down at a place east of the city."
It's probably like a kid like throwing a temper tantrum. Yes, I can be mad.
"I'm angry." So then he went out and sat down at a place east of the city. Why is everything east?
Yeah.
There he made himself a shelter, sat in its shade, and waited to see what would happen to the city. Why wouldn't he just go, "All right, mission accomplished, I'm going home"?
Yeah, when you hate something so much, like you're just too focused on it. Like you become obsessed with it.
Did he think that his anger was going to change God's mind? Well, then why would he bother?
He's just mad. When you're mad and
Yeah,
stupid, you just want to stay mad and stupid.
Right, but okay, so God forgives the city. He decides not to destroy it.
Yeah.
Jonah is angry to the
Yeah.
point where he says, "Kill me."
Yeah.
Then God's like, "You don't have a right to be angry."
Yeah.
So Jonah goes and sits outside the city to see what would happen to the city.
Yeah. Like a stakeout.
What's going to happen? Nothing. God isn't
Yeah.
going to destroy them. He already knows that.
He
That's
wants
why
to
he's
stay
angry.
mad. He just wants to stay mad. Some people just want to, when they're mad, they just want to stay mad. So like, I'm mad. I'm going to watch this and be even more mad. He's just an idiot.
But I know, but it says, sat down at a place, made himself a shelter, and waited to see what would happen to the city. If you already know what happened to the city, then why would you sit and watch what happens to the city?
Yeah. I don't know.
Was he hoping they'd mess up again so he can go, get him?
Maybe. Hoping they didn't fully repent or everyone repent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I like this because God starts messing with him a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So in chapter 4, verse 6, then the Lord God provided a vine. Some versions say a leafy plant.
Yeah, plant.
And made it grow up over Jonah to give shade for his head to ease his discomfort.
Is vine not a part of a plant, though?
And Jonah was very happy about the vine. What if it was poison ivy?
Yeah, he's like sitting out there miserable, and he's still sitting out there. Like he just wants to be mad and
That's
miserable.
what I'm saying. That's why I think the vine was poison ivy, just to give him a little bit of
No,
that.
he gave him shade. Poison ivy doesn't give you shade.
It gives you something.
Poison ivy's like on the ground, right?
It grows up the trees.
It can't, yeah.
It doesn't have like
But no, it's
big
not
enough leaves to make shade though. But I do like the concept of, you know what, Jonah?
And then he's happy about it. He's not gonna be happy about
It
poison
would make
ivy.
me feel better knowing that Jonah got poison ivy.
Be careful what
I
you
don't
say,
know.
because then God might be like, "Oh yeah, you want Jonah to have poison ivy? Here, here's the poison ivy for you."
I know. I'm gonna put on sackcloth after this. I take it back. So, God puts this vine there for him to provide him shade and ease his discomfort. So he's like letting him feel more comfortable sitting and watching what's going to happen to the city in his anger. But then it says, at dawn the next day, God provided a worm which chewed the vine so that it withered. When the sun rose, God provided a scorching east wind, and the sun blazed on Jonah's head so that he grew faint. He wanted to die again and said, "It would be better for me to die than to live." He just has a death wish, I'm convinced. He really doesn't.
He's just emo. He's just depressed.
He really was, like,
Yeah.
from the start.
Yeah, it takes one to know him.
He's always got to, like, get up, go over here. I don't want to. Get up, I'd rather die.
when you're depressed, you kind of lag around. You don't want to do anything.
Get up, oh, I want to die. Oh, it's too hot, I want to die. It's kind of annoying. Like,
Yeah.
God should have just let him. And who knows? Maybe he did.
Hopefully.
Who knows? We never know.
Hopefully one day.
Jonah's still alive, wishing like that's his punishment. 'Cause he
Like,
can't.
oh, freaking California. Oh, I hope they don't repent. Or the whole America. Oh.
He said, "It would be better for me to die than to live." Then God said to Jonah, "Do you have a right to be angry about the vine?" "I do," he said.
It's like a little kid.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I am angry enough to die. How many times has he...
Yeah.
But the Lord said, "You have been concerned about this vine, though you did not tend it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and many cattle as well. Should I not be concerned about that great city?" And then the book ends. That's it.
Wait, what?
That's it. We don't know what happens after that.
It's true.
And that's what's frustrating to me is like I feel like some pages got missed.
Open-ended. Yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't really. There's no closure.
Seems like
But-
Nineveh repents, though.
Well, Nineveh repents and then they were spared.
Mm-hmm.
Jonah sat outside and was just angry. God proved a point with the plant,
Mm-hmm.
and then just mic dropped.
Yeah.
But he says Nineveh has more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left.
Yeah.
Was that in the literal sense because they were uneducated? Or does that have some other meaning?
Yeah, to me it sounds like they're just... Well, to me it
Just
sounds...
confused?
Well, it's compared... I compare it to him, and it just sounds like they're idiots compared to God. We're all just children. We're all just big dummy heads. That's how I think of it. We're just big old idiots.
Or maybe they just didn't have a good compass and needed guidance from somebody. And that's why he sent Jonah to give them kind of a redirect.
Yeah.
But they listened.
Yeah, they did.
But he also mentions the animals, which is I don't know why he would do that. But Nineveh has more than 120,000 people who cannot tell their right hand from their left, and many cattle as well. Some versions say
Like care for the cattle.
say and many animals.
Because
So
he
God-
cares for a plant. So it's like, you care for this plant. What about all these people? Also, if you want these cattle, you should care for them. If you care for this stupid little plant that is up and dead in a day.
Yeah, and he can't hold a grudge against animals. It's not like they were wicked.
Yeah.
So I think he was maybe proving an extra point there of
Yeah.
like and many cattle.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan of how the book ends.
Yeah, it's a little
Like why was
abrupt.
he even waiting to see what would happen? He already knew what would happen.
But it is cool that God he'll still come for us even though we're freaking stupid.
It's true.
And even
and
if
he
even
takes
if,
the time to explain himself, even when he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like Jonah was a little whiny baby with a death wish, apparently, and God was still like, Jonah, why are you angry?
Yeah.
So imagine if your entire legacy, though, was you got eaten by a big fish.
And wanted to do the opposite of God.
But if Jonah had just listened, let's assume he didn't get eaten by a
No
fish.
fish. Yeah.
If he just listened
Yeah.
and went to Nineveh, and
He'd have a book as big as Ezekiel, probably.
I don't think so.
Why?
I don't even think he'd
If
be
he
in
did
the Bible.
if he did what he was supposed to, he probably would have had
Do you know
more
how many
stories.
people did what God told them to do and they're not in the Bible? There's no record. The only reason Jonah is in the Bible is because his story is very unique in the fact that he got eaten by a big fish.
Fair.
That's the only thing people really know about Jonah. When you ask people, I asked my daughter what she knew about Jonah. Even she said he got eaten by a big fish. She'd say, "Oh, Jonah was a prophet." And no one cares because he only did it once. He did it poorly. I don't even think that makes you a prophet. I think that means you prophesied one time. Maybe he did it a bunch of other times that's not recorded, but no one knows. And because of his poor attitude...
No, I think if he did what he was supposed to, he maybe would have done even more that he was supposed to. And he might have had more to contribute in a different way.
He might have. He had a different mentality
Yeah.
than a lazy whiner complainer who didn't value his life at all.
Yeah.
And apparently had some
And hated these other
deep-rooted
people.
hatred for
Yeah.
Nineveh.
Yeah.
Something happened. There had to be a bad breakup. Something.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a
But God-
backstory there that...
And God doesn't care what it is.
No,
He's just
and I
like-
think that's why God picked Jonah.
Yeah.
Out of all the people he could have sent to Nineveh, I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
And it shows God's sense of humor. That he picked Jonah. Like, you hate them more than anybody else that I know.
Yeah.
I want you to go. Oh, you don't want to go? I'm going to spit you out there anyway. Like, you're going to go. Whether you want to or not. I think that's really interesting.
I'm trying to think of something I dislike.
But if...
I can't think of anything.
But if Jonah didn't run away from God, then the sailors on the boat would never have gotten saved. At least that we know of.
Not in this circumstance.
Not in the circumstance.
Yeah.
So God still turned that into something good. In classic godlike fashion. And then the story might not have even been noteworthy enough to put in the Bible because... Okay, God spoke, he listened, city was saved. Pretty sure there's a bunch of that's not recorded. I mean, he got 4 chapters even with a special case. Like, I had to look him up in the index just to find the book because it's so small. I was like, I went back and forth. I'm like, I know it's around here somewhere.
Yeah, and the way yours does it, it would be hard to find.
Yeah, mine has... like one paragraph of Jonah on this page, and then a full page, and then another paragraph on the... It takes up 3 pages. Yours is right there all in one shot.
Yeah, since mine all start on one page, like its own page.
Yeah.
It's easy to just be like, oh, here's a big gap. Here's one.
Yeah. I do like the concept of Jonah getting eaten by a fish because it's unique. It's cool. Whether he was dead or alive makes a huge difference in how I picture that experience going.
Obviously, yeah. Either there's experience
I would
of it,
rather-
or there's no experience of it because he's dead.
I would rather be unconscious and dead and then just wake up on the beach
Yeah.
than have to be alive for 3 days and 3 nights inside a fish.
It's got to be hard on your body, though, to be dead for 3 days and like, all right, start working again.
How long was Lazarus dead? 1 day? No, a week, right?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
It was a little while.
It was
he waited.
because it was...
He tarried.
he waited 2 days.
Jesus tarried.
He tarried 2 days after Lazarus died. Then he went, and then Lazarus' sister?
Something like that.
I don't know. Jesus was like, okay, open the tomb. And she was like, well, no, he's been in there
No smell.
I can't remember how long she said though. But she said, yeah, there's going to
Probably
be
3 days.
There's going to be an odor. He's been dead
Probably 3 days.
a few days,
Probably 3.
maybe 2. Because he died, Jesus went. I don't know.
I think he tarried 2 days.
So is this another 3-day 3-day reference?
That's why I think it's 3 days.
Do a quick Google search.
How do you spell Lazarus?
Seriously?
Lazarus.
Laser us
No.
with a Z.
And there's no E.
Yeah, and an E and an A. I just wanted to say laser us.
I get dead for 4 days.
4.
So also, yeah.
So not 3. No similarity there other than the fact that he was dead and God rose him. So 4 days. So yeah, I don't like how the book ends. It feels like a movie where
You don't like the ending because you don't know it.
Your DVD skips and then you can't watch the rest, or
that would be the worst.
Or your power goes out and then you can't finish it. Like that's what this feels like to me.
I'm good with it. I think it's perfectly clear.
What?
Nineveh's a jerk, and not Nineveh. Jonah's a
Nineveh
jerk.
was awesome. I like the fact that they immediately
they repent. Yeah, it was honest. Yeah.
that you don't ever hear about that except for this situation.
You hear about that with David all the time.
Not with a whole city where the king
Yeah.
the king hears you like the first time and is like, okay,
Yeah, not everyone.
shut it all down, let's hit the reset button, everybody. Let's hope that we can beg for forgiveness and God will have mercy. And then he does. Like, I really like, how that played out.
Yeah.
But Jonah, man.
You think he comes to terms with Nineveh's salvation or redemption or whatever you call it?
I don't think he has a choice. But no, I don't.
I
think his level of hatred based on how he acted and reacted.
all the way until he's dead. He's like, on his deathbed.
I think he took that hatred to the grave.
Yeah, a couple times.
Maybe he even died right where he was sitting outside watching the city.
I think he took him to the grave a couple times.
I wouldn't be surprised if he sat and watched the city out there in the sun until he died.
Like he's obsessed, just staring at the...
Just hoping something bad happens. Because I would have been happy even if it said, and Jonah returned home. That's it.
Something.
4 more words would have given me closure. But now, it literally ends with, should I not be concerned about that great city? Like, that's what God said to Jonah.
That's the point. The point was made that... The point that was supposed to be made was made.
Yeah, but how long did Jonah sit outside in the sun wishing to die and watching the city? I want to know.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it.
Maybe you'll find out one day.
Yeah, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
I have to ask God myself.
But you'd be alive. That's a cool thing when you think about it.
I guess.
Yeah, I'd be dead. Yeah, but would you? But would you?
There's a lot to unpack in 4 chapters, though. It's interesting. Like,
It was a good bit. It was more than I thought.
there's a lot of gray area to discuss. That's why
The unknowns.
there's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
Who wrote? Did Jonah write the book of Jonah?
I don't think so. I have no idea. I don't think so.
I don't think he did. I think if he did, he'd probably paint himself in a better light.
Or maybe he did. That's why it just ends. He's like, I don't want to finish the story. I'm done writing about it. God, you told me to write about the story. This is the story. It's it. I'm reluctantly writing this much. That's it.
Maybe.
And I don't want people to know that I wrote it, so I'm just going to write in third person.
I don't know, but I wish it ended better. I don't like cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Like, I can't watch a TV series like as it's released. I would rather wait a year for the whole thing to be released and then binge watch the whole thing.
So I do like the binge watch because I'm like, oh, give me more. But there are certain shows I'm like, I like waiting because I feel like
You
I
like waiting a
experienced-
week for like the next episode?
You experience this whole time.
Horrible.
You talk with
That's
people
a
about
terrible experience.
You talk about this one episode for a whole week, and you're like, oh, this part. If you watch it all, you
talk about the whole season
in 1 week, and then you're done.
Yeah. Then
So
move on to the next one.
So you stretch it out, and you just get a little bit more out of it.
No.
Yeah.
No. I get more joy out of watching the entire show than talking to people about it every week.
I meant to ask Tim if he watches Daredevil.
The new one, I still have to watch that.
It's pretty good.
I know. I have to.
But I get some people, if some people don't want to watch it because it's, was it rated M or whatever it is.
Yeah, but
But it's cool.
Daredevil's a cool character. I like Daredevil.
Yeah, bro. It's pretty good. The original Netflix is probably still better, but it's still pretty good.
The original Netflix one was good.
Yeah. But it's kind of the same. But it's always like, the first season's the best season also of the old one. So it's like,
well, that's where all
that
the original
initial
ideas
thing.
are coming from. That's how,
Yeah.
because you have no expectations there. So that's why it's always nice. And then after you have that first season, now you have expectations set. Yeah. And you know like how you want the story to continue or progress and what characters you want to see or not see. And
Nazi? I thought we weren't talking about Nazis. Sorry.
So it's about that time
Oh, the pizza
to
rating?
grade the pizza.
Dude. I'll go with a 9.8.
9.8?
Yeah. I'm a fan. I like it. Yeah.
You like this better than the ricotta bacon fig?
Yeah.
Because
But
that was
good.
a 9.7.
Is that what both of us rated it as?
Yeah.
What did I personally rate it
That
as?
one was really good.
Yeah, it was. Did we both agree 9.7?
We both agreed 9.7.
Yeah.
This one came out, like I knew it was going to come out good, but it came out better than I
It was
thought.
good.
The tartar sauce I made was a
It
nice,
was good.
yeah,
Yeah.
that came out fantastic. All of the seafood was cooked properly. There
It
was
was so
nothing.
good.
There was nothing dry.
The only way to make it like a 9.9 or a 10 for me is if there was like 20 pounds more of it.
More seafood? Yeah. I had more. I didn't want to overdo it because I didn't want
No,
it
it's
to be
good.
like too overbearing.
Yeah. No, it was good. No, I love, is it imitation crab?
Yes,
Yeah.
this one is.
I love fake crab. Fake
But
crab
the
is so good.
lobster was fresh lobster tail.
Yeah.
I had to
And that's good.
I had to steam it first before I even put it on here, and then the giant sea scallops were fresh. And those are, oh my gosh, they're so good, but they are ridiculously expensive. And then the shrimp was fresh shrimp.
So shrimp is like the cockroach of the sea?
Yes, they're good though.
Has it ever, is it just me, or has that made you think about, what does a cockroach taste like?
No.
You didn't talk about that? That could be one of our pizzas one day.
Cockroach cocktail?
Comment if you want.
Cockroach cocktail.
Comment
yeah.
if you want us to do the cockroach pizza challenge.
No, don't comment on that.
Comment, make us do it. He will do it. Or I'll do it alone. I would really do it if enough people.
A cockroach pizza. Not like a cockroach cocktail where you have like shrimp cocktail and you have
Pizza, yeah.
you have the
So you got
big
like this
cockroaches
is
and you
this is the
dip
whole
them.
pizza. You got like cockroach here, cockroach there, cockroach here, cockroach there. Cockroach
So you want to do a
cockroach there.
cockroach topping pizza?
I'm not saying I want to do it. I kind of do want to do it, but I think
Where
it would
would
be
you
bad.
get the cockroaches?
That's a good question.
I don't want to thankfully there's none in my house.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Pet store?
Yes, they have cockroaches. I'm pretty sure.
The fact that we're even discussing this is stupid.
Comment if you want us to go to the pet store.
I do not have a desire to eat a cockroach pizza.
If it somehow was like, if that's
If
what
we
made
get-
us boom.
If we get 100,000 subscribers, I will eat a cockroach pizza.
You'll eat the whole pizza or you'll try it?
I'll eat what we eat.
Okay. You'll eat
100,000 subscribers. That's the challenge.
1,000 subscribers. That's That's a lot.
What if tomorrow we have 100,000 subscribers? I'll be.
That would suck because this is like pre-recorded for a week. If that actually happened tomorrow and then we didn't post this yet, we're like, wait a second. Are we telling them that we're just going to do it because we already have 100,000 subscribers?
We'd have to edit.
We just have to do
or
it.
we have to redo this whole thing.
500,000. Gosh dang it, it keeps happening every day.
It's like Abraham. What about 700,000? 1 million subscribers. 1 million subscribers.
Oh my gosh. I would do it. I'd give it a shot.
100,000 subscribers.
Yeah. We'll go to the pet store.
All right.
Yeah.
It's done. If we get 100,000 subscribers, we will eat a cockroach pizza.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Can we pull the legs off them though first?
If you want.
Because
You
I
do
know,
half and half.
Because I know when you eat crickets, you got to pull the back legs off because they have the barbs on them. And
If you cook it enough, it'll be crunchy. It's like the shrimp. You just eat it whole. Legs are crunchy, tail is crunchy.
Do you use a red sauce for that?
For cockroach?
What kind of sauce would go good with a cockroach?
Treat it similar to shrimp, I think. Shrimp sauce?
Cocktail sauce?
Ooh, shrimp sauce.
Cockroach tail sauce?
From what is it, white sauce? From a like hibachi place?
Oh, yum yum sauce?
Yeah.
Dude, anything with yum yum sauce is the real deal.
Yum yum cockroach pizza.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I want to get 100,000 subscribers, but
Yeah.
I really at this point
I want to
Not quite sure.
golly, I can't talk. I want to reiterate this potential pizza like every 10 videos just so it happens one day.
What if it takes like 40 years?
It might.
I'm like, dang it.
It's like, then it's like good.
Whatever, I want to die
And then,
anyway.
and then it's like so good and you're like, why am
did
I?
we-
Now I'm about to die and I want to eat this more?
Yeah. So you're going 9.8 on this one.
Yeah.
Better than the
was good.
ricotta bacon fig.
And crust was good too, but I didn't eat the crust because I wanted to eat more of that in the moment.
Yeah, I was wondering why you. The crust is
It's good.
it's super good.
Yeah, it is very good. But I just wanted more.
So, yeah. All right. On that note, anything else?
Is that Jonah?
It's Jonah. That's what Jonah sounded like to God.
Yeah.
Listen to him. I'm gonna forgive this city, Jonah.
You don't have any fun stories where you're like gonna do something wrong, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't do it. Nah, you just want to do everything wrong, probably.
Anything I wanted to do, I just did.
Oh man.
I mean, I paid prices for them, but you know, it is what it is. It's life.
Yeah.
I didn't whine about it though, like Jonah.
C'est la vie.
Good talk.
Good pizza.
Very good pizza. The seafood pizza was a definite smash. 9.8. All right. Podcast over.
What do you think it was like being in the belly of the whale for 3 days, or the belly of the fish?
I'll just punch him right in the tooth. I want to punch him in the roof of the mouth so it can open. Yeah, and then you like, I'm spitting over that.